All right. Okay, good morning, everybody. So we're gonna hold a sprint review for ONOS EMU sprint 2. And as soon as I find where the sprint review presentation is, we can start. There we go. Okay, so this sprint was again 3-week sprint. It was contained actually significant number of story points, more than we usually take on. I think it grew by roughly about 40 points throughout the sprint. We did not do very well. We completed less than 100 of those points, so basically about a third of the points that we took on, which is not great. We do have a lot of story points in flight on the upside, but we just simply have not been able to button them up. And using the data that we've been accumulating over the past few sprints and releases, Simon was kind enough to put together a nice visualization of how we've been doing in terms of completions. And so clearly this...
Thomas, can you share the slideshow, please?
Thank you very much. I forget about that. Thank you. Is that better?
Great, thanks.
All right, yeah. So this is for this sprint, 261, we completed 93. Lots of things in flight, but that doesn't really help our burn velocity. And so if you were to take a look at this trend, we've had times where we actually had very respectable completion rates. At the end of Drake and the beginning of Cardinal, but then I think our eyes get bigger than our stomachs. We take on more work, or maybe more distractions come in, more external events such as travel or conferences creep in, and that totally destroys our sprint velocity.
I think we're very consistent on the number of
yes
that we complete.
Exactly.
It's just a matter of we're always wanting to pull so many more in at the beginning, right?
Yes, and I think it's okay to do that to a degree. I think like achieving an 80% completion rate would be great. 60 something seems to be wrong, right? And we're trending below 50 now, so that's not that great.
I think part of it comes to how we set up our
scrums. That's exactly right. I was talking to Andrea about it yesterday.
So we should have a discussion out of this meeting about that.
Absolutely. This is not the meeting to hold that, but I just simply wanted to make this point since it's very illuminating.
Yep.
So thanks, Simon, for putting this together.
But yeah, the velocity anyway is clear, right?
Yeah.
We know how much we can, in average, deliver. So.
Yep. Do you have a number about how many story points are added in flight?
That's something we should start capturing as well. We could probably surmise that to a degree because we have recordings of how many points we took on in the beginning, but we need to start tracking that as well.
Yeah, we have it in zero.
That's an indication of how badly describe our stories.
Yeah.
How badly describe stories.
Okay. So, not to dwell on this, just to point this out, and clearly we need to take some steps, right? So I think we can again start from within to the outside. Madan, do you want to provide some update on core work that you've done this sprint?
Sure. So a lot of work has happened on providing the feature support for dynamic clustering. I feel there's a lot of good progress that was made. There's still some work to be done, but I think the work that we did in this...
Uh-oh, we lost you. Are you there? We lost you, Madan.
Can you check if other participants like Simon are still on the line or?
We need to fix this persistence.
Yeah, they're still online. Madan's online still.
Probably
We just
had
can't
a
hear him.
network operating system.
I know. And people who knew about networks.
Hello?
Yes. Sorry, we lost you, Madan.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Can you hear me now?
yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. So yeah, I was saying that a lot of good work or good progress has been made in this sprint. So one thing that we did was introduce this notion of a cluster metadata service, which is going to be the gatekeeper for all cluster-related metadata. And the existing file-based metadata has been sort of repackaged as a static cluster store, which will eventually be extended to support other data stores where data is in a remote location. And the other area where I spent a significant amount of time was contributing fixes and enhancements that we have accumulated over the past several months, contributing those fixes upstream to the copycat project. And also a lot of time and effort has been spent on testing the latest updates for stability and correctness. As you can imagine, making cluster changes, in terms of adding and removing nodes, there are a lot of edge cases that need to be tested, and effort has been spent on making sure those scenarios are all working correctly and also stable. The other thing that I would like to call out is in EMU, the plan is to depend on the source copycat project and not have our own fork. So this will reduce the amount of work that we need to do during the release process. The other piece of work that this is something that Aaron did was create a persistent service. This is something that we will be using for maintaining local persistence on the node itself. There are multiple places where this will be used. Couple of them to begin with are we will be using this to back the EC map whenever the user has selected persistent data storage. And secondly, we will also be using this for persisting the flow rules. Right now, there are these flow rules are stored in memory, and there are a lot of interesting failure scenarios that can lead to flows getting dropped. Because when a node restarts, it essentially loses all the in-memory flows. So this should help us, address those shortcomings as well. Thomas, can you go to the next slide? So this is a piece of work that Andrea did, which is adding a bunch of tests, STC tests for primitives. So this should help us, run these tests, in a very lightweight manner as part of the STC framework.
Okay, thank you, Madan.
Yep.
I'm gonna let Brian give an update on this.
Sure. So on the northbound side, we've made some more progress on our service migration. So just to recap, we had 4 or 5 different services that we use to manage different types of resources. We decided to make this more generic. And one of the last remaining, actually, the third of 4, I think, that we were going to tackle was the link resource service. So we've now deprecated that. We've turned on the resource manager, and still in the process of sort of moving over all of the dependencies for the 3 major services that used to be there. But that will continue next sprint, and there's definitely progress being made there. On the intent domain side, last sprint, what we did was we rescoped the work for EMU. What we did this sprint was we put together an implementation plan, and then next sprint, our goal is going to be to make some solid progress on that. The other thing that we did was we've been talking to some people about particular applications or use cases where the intent domain is both needed and also would be good to show. And we found that the packet optical metro cord demo where we're provisioning end-to-end services across multiple ONOS domains would be a really good opportunity to highlight. sort of the heterogeneity of networks, and also potentially a federated or a hierarchical use case. And so we're going to target getting a lot of the intent domain stuff done in enough features and functionality for that demo, hopefully by December.
And hopefully have a full-fledged demonstration of this as part of the use case for ONS. All right, thank you. Ali, do you want to give an update on this one, or do you want that to be run differently? Since you've been
away,
you've been away, right?
Yeah.
So Brian,
Yeah, sure. So the first thing here was sort of an interesting race condition, and it has to do with the time delay between when ONOS selects a master and when that mastership is asserted on a particular device. And so this was something that Charles helped us track down and solve. Basically, the fix here is when you receive mastership, we need to start queuing messages for the device once we actually obtain mastership from the device's perspective. And so what we do is, once we're elected, we build a queue. When we receive the confirmation from the device that we are the master, we drain the queue and then send the rest of the messages directly as they come in. And then the other side of this is we started out with the small task of doing controller config for netconf devices. And we realized that there were some deficiencies with the existing infrastructure that we had on the netconf front. And so what we did this sprint was we did a major refactoring and redesign and implementation of a netconf provider that is more in line with the way that we do OpenFlow, OVSDB, and some of the other Southbounds. And so there's some abstractions that we've added around netconf device, controller sessions, and then the providers have been reduced in sort of their size so that you use primitives rather than managing sort of low-level protocol details. On top of this, Andre has been able to drive most of the netconf implementation, as well as the original goal of being able to get and set the OpenFlow controllers on a netconf device using the OF config model. And so that's been completed as well this spring.
So this effectively represents our first foray into first externally visible device configuration using different underlying mechanisms. Because if you recall, past sprint we did OVSDB. And to the external application it looks the same. So they have no idea what's used underneath, and that's the point. Simon, do you want to provide an overview on the UI stuff?
Sure. So basically, the main things that were worked on were the topology view and the intent view. For the topology view, I don't know if you remember, at the end of last sprint, I demonstrated the ability for an external, an ONOS application that's installed to inject its own behavior on the topology view, being able to highlight links and add labels. Well, we've added to this toolbox of things that an overlay can do to allow badges to be applied to devices, and the content of the badge can either be a text string, small string like a number, as illustrated here, or you can also use the glyphs. The idea being maybe we can add a check mark, an X mark, whatever the application wants to show. So that's one of the main things that was done. A minor thing was selecting traffic overlay by default, so that it's more in line with previous releases of the GUI. And then on the intents view, there was a bug fix for column sorting, and then also added the functionality of being able to select a row and then ask switch to the topology view and highlight the selected intent. So I'll show a demonstration of that at the end of this meeting. work in progress is working on the programmable dialogue so that an application can basically build a dialog box and get into information or interaction with the user. That's just still work in progress. There's a lot to do there. And then there was an item that we signed up for that we just didn't get around to. So that's it. Any questions?
Looks clear. Thank you very much, Simon.
Sure.
Okay, on the miscellaneous front,
IPv6. So I have completed all the remaining issues in IPv6 package. Basically, finished all the remaining unit tests. So there is actually no storage in IPv6 right now. Yeah, so we are waiting for it to.
Perfect. Thank you. Also, one of the things we've done this sprint, we've suffered from almost a deluge of code reviews, and which resulted in a little bit slower code review process, plus also impact on other activities. And so it became the problem, manifests itself clearly, and so we spent a little bit of time discussing and determining steps to help scale up that process. So there will be an email coming out today about some revisions, immediate revisions to our review process, so that we set the expectations and revise the way we use the tools today. And also we started working on a long-term process with David Boswell's help on trying to broaden the community of submitters to be able to offload the core team a little bit, and also to be able to smooth out the flow of the code reviews and merges. So that there will be some email coming out today, and also additional announcements coming probably in coming weeks. That's it on that point. And John or Ali, do you guys want to talk about the generic extensions?
Yeah, so in this one we found there was a couple of use cases of people who wanted to use some of the extension API extensions, like the nice area extensions that exist in OpenFlow, for setting tunnel destinations and moving header fields from one thing to another. So we didn't want to add these extensions directly to our treatment API because they're very specific to one particular switch, and so it's not really a general API. And also we'd have an explosion of APIs if everyone comes along and adds extensions to our API. So what we did here is implement a generic sort of experimenter or extension API into the traffic treatment. And this allows drivers to basically bring their own extension classes and applications to use those extension classes that are provided by the driver. So we don't have to basically build out these directly into our APIs. And we may do the same thing for selectors in the future if we need to, because there are also some things that apply to matching as well.
Great. Thanks, John. QA.
Yep. So one of the first things that we did in terms of enhancements to the test framework is we added support for sending and capturing any pretty much any packet you could think of between different media hosts. So you can build your packet and then send it and then capture it. And we actually already discovered a bug and fixed it yesterday with how ONOS was handling VLANs. In terms of new tests, we have a topology scaling test that was added and is now in production. I believe that just creates torus topologies and just does ping all just to see how big they can scale. We have a platform test that starts almost using the published Docker images. That's in progress. We got the old packet optical test running, and that is in Garrett now, so it just needs to be reviewed. There's also a new flow roll functionality test, which is basically just adds flows using different selectors and treatments, and then verifies it using the packet generator tool. And that's also in Garrett. And we're refactoring one of the HA tests where we kill some nodes. So it's going to be split into two tests, one where we kill the node and one where we stop it. And then also do more checks between when the node is stopped and when we bring it back up. And that's not in Garrett yet, but probably will be by the end of the day. And then continued progress with Criterion's work on IPv6 functionality tests, just supporting them in that. And then Huawei has fixed some bugs with OVSDB tests that are running nightly. It's mostly just some differences between our environment and theirs. And then Subin can talk about some of the bugs on the next slide.
Okay, cool.
Can you refresh that? Just add some updates. So on the box DevOps front, there are, I just want to highlight some of the what we consider high severity bugs. There are two bugs being fixed. One is the device, sometimes the port shown is disabled. And the second bug is on when IPv6 label discovery is enabled, some flow rules don't get installed correctly.
Well, the second one is actually the Brian mentioned about for the mastership.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not actually related to IPv6.
Okay. But there's still 4 open bugs to be planned for the sprint. They are still open. One of them is the first one is flow rules are missing when we do show tests, even though the intent were installed correctly. The second one is when we kill ONOS instance, we see some default flow disappear and hence the topology sort of disband. The next one is if we start traffic on the data path before ONOS start, we can see topology is not forming correctly. And the last one is the throughput on the performance, intent performance test regression. We haven't had a solution on that yet. Also want to mention two bugs on the backlog. One is that tied to the topology scale test that we implemented. This is a known problem even back to the ONS time, the past ONS time, when we have something like in the order of 20 by 20 torus, we think all the topology can just disband. And then we have a feature / bug that I think is blocking some of the deployment scenario. That's because our host entry in ONOS don't age out, and then, for example, in like office deployment, that it's going to cause a lot of problem when people change IPs change and not tied to the right MAC addresses. So those are some of the bugs that we want to highlight.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Deployments. Right, so there was in this sprint lots of dissemination and preparation for deployments coming. The thing to underline here is that I'm holding on the internet to deployments. As you know, we are moving to, we move all the deployments to Cardinal. Unfortunately, on internet 2, they are still using the Junipers, which are blocking for our deployments. We have lots of problems with these devices. We are having weekly meeting with Junipers, but we don't know where these guys are really going. So for now, it's like, in my opinion, wasting time to just deal with crappy hardware. So I'm supporting the guys of Internet 2 in all what I can, but I'm holding on new deployments. Even because there are lots of other interesting deployments that instead are growing. Starting with ARNet in Australia, they deploy SDN-IP in a new testbed. There are already 3 sites connecting, and they are deploying 7 new sites. I'm working with them to deploy a switch in Seattle, and the goal here is to enlarge the so-called global SDN deployment. So first thing, ARNet will be connected to AM Light in South America through the link through the switch in Seattle, and then South America from São Paulo will create a direct link to Europe in London So first of all, we add more complexity to the testbed gradually, and secondly, we don't have to depend by the Internet 2 deployment that unfortunately is not working right now. So other thing, on AMLite, things are going very, very well. At the point that we want to start to move, we are creating a new slice on the flow space firewall, and we are starting to move on this slice some production traffic. And this is the first time we will really see SDN-IP handling real production traffic. Okay, while the other slice will keep being connected to the global SDN deployment. Creonet and Kisti, they have lots of reviews in this moment to do for the cover. There's lots of stuff that prevent them to move forward with the SDN-IP deployment. We will continue on November 16. The point now is that we prepare the entire infrastructure, all the routers are configured, everything is configured. So we just need to put their ONOS and see how it goes. Last but not the least, I had lots of time in the last period, especially on the planes. So I decided that it was a good thing to start looking at the code, because even if I deploy, but at some point I should really start to see how ONOS works. And it was very interesting, lots of learning. So learnings, whatever.
Learning.
You got it.
Great.
All right, that's it.
Thank you again. Present, that's you, Patrick.
Yeah, so I can give the update about in the past 2 to 3 weeks. So for this YAM model, the things we focus on the northbound. Okay, it's number one. Number two is we are focused on the architectures, how to support the YAM model, the service models in the northbound. Several approaches was discussed within the communities. So the TST meetings also talk about these ones. So currently it seems like the approach we have, the 3 approach was discussed. So the idea is that we're going to implement the translation layers in the southbound, in the northbound. So now the approach is these layers is implemented by ONOS applications or as running in the YAMForge containers, or it's a sort of the hybrid mode. So there's some of them is running in applications, some of them is in the YAM mode. We're still work with the Huawei team and the ClearPath, also the focus on this area and see how to divide the works between the applications and the YAMForge. It's the things that we have done in the past. So the two demos was given to the teams. The one is from the ClearPath. The ClearPath was just to show how the YAMForge works and how they translate the IETF layer 3 VPN model to the ONOS northbound API. So the Huawei gave another thing is try to show the model current the northbound, the ONOS northbound API, and exposure that APIs to the applications, and also build the YAM tools to compile that YAM model into the Java code. So here is the current work done by the ClearPath and the Huawei. Okay, so overall the teams are on the same page. As when we support the YAM-based things, we want to keep the ONOS cores architectures, and it's the strength. It's basically is from the group, right? So it's everyone's now everyone is on the same page. It's no core.
It's a big progress.
Yeah, I think since the beginning, so yes, so we're on the same page. Now all those implementations, translations, modelings is pushing to the applications or the Yang Forge. So now is the team is focused on this. It's no problem. So some works done by create the wiki. We're trying to capture all these talkings, emails later on. Now it's still under constructions. Another things I think, it's covered. I think it's covered. So we upload the layer 3 VPN service models in the wikis, so which include the network models and the device model. It's almost complete the service model in the end. The next steps. So the Peter from the ClearPath in the past week he was in the OpenStack. So when he come back, we're going to talk about the define the specific POCs. So cool.
Okay, there's 3 code that has been finished, but some of them will be refactored because applications have to install rules via rule objective subsystem. Yesterday I discussed with Ali and Thomas. I have figured out a solution, and Israel extension will be refactored because it relies to Jonathan code. When Jonathan code be merged, I will refactor it advance. And for testing, east-west function test had passed, but not south-north function test. We encountered a problem caused by our company network. We are fixing it. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, thank you. I presume also you will provide service function chaining also?
No.
No.
But
I think that I don't have much to talk about this one. So basically, they're covered. Give this one's everything is ongoing. Now they're like the Thomas suggested, they will slow down to catch up with the UTs, unit testing case. All these information was delivered forward to the teams. They were focused on this areas. So
great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mainly prepared and attended the developer conference in Shenzhen this sprint. Due to the traveling and the network issues, so I didn't totally close the story. When deactive SMP, we also delete all reactive tests. This is still under review, and the 2 bugs fix are in progress. Jono also started some work on reacting to the config change during the SMP runtime.
Thank you. DGPLS. I'm not sure whether.
Satish is not there.
Is not gonna be there.
It's basically it's in progress. I don't have much comments about this.
Okay. Mark.
Okay. So packet optical. So in support of the disaggregated ROADM, we defined a ROADM API. I originally planned but failed to do also config transponder API, mainly because I couldn't get any vendors to interact with me on that. There's some progress was made on OTN support. So, if I'm not mistaken, the traffic treatment and traffic criteria around the REST API was merged recently. There was a review, so that's making good progress. We had a lot of discussions on the Metro ONOS use case, and the design is more or less finalized in terms of federation, in terms of the intent domain use and what applications will look like and how we'll support them. I'm working with some vendors to get them to commit supporting this use case by offering hardware. And and the final activity was we wrote 2 papers, one for OFC and one for NIEEE.
Great. All right. Thank you. All right. Just a quick reminder: we have sprint planning coming up next Monday, and we can talk more about that later. I think we are ready to move to the demos. Simon, do you want to take the wheel here and share your desktop?
Sure, let me just do that. Here it comes. Yep. So hopefully everyone can see the topology that I have on my screen here.
1 second, Simon. Let me stop presenting on my side here and make sure that you present to. There we go. Yep. Can you push the present to everyone button?
If I can find it, hang on. Blah.
Okay, I think I got you.
Do you got?
Yeah.
Have we got it here?
Yes, we got you.
Okay. So what I added, the main feature that I added was on the intents view here. Now intents are selectable, and you'll see that there's a button up here, show on topology view. So if we click that, we navigate to the topology view, and a message goes to the server and then comes back. And the intent that was selected is now illustrated.
Very nice.
That's it. We can do it again if you want to. Just
one more time.
Does it really work?
Hey.
Okay.
Thanks.
Nice. Okay, cool. And you also have a like an offline checked-in demonstration for the badges and for the links too, right? I mean, I know you're not gonna give that presentation live, but I just wanted to know if was that accessible for other people to be able to see what kind of things they can do with badges and link connotations. Simon?
I'm sorry, I was muted. Okay. I want to stop presenting. Hang on. Where is that button? Okay, sorry.
Here, I can steal the presentation here. And
yeah, that's probably best. Yes, the topology overlay archetype. We have a tutorial walkthrough with the wiki. The archetype code that gets installed actually includes badging. So there's at least reference code, and you can walk through the tutorial and see the code that does that. One of the things that I've done is I've added a Jira story to say, hey, let's create a reference application that kind of shows all the bells and whistles of GUI extension. So maybe we can get to that in the next couple of sprints.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I think once the programmable dialog is available, I think you should be able to even use the BYON application for the tutorial for that, because that would be really a good candidate for a sort of a reference application.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I think that's it. If we were to this afternoon, I'm going to close the current sprint, which means that any stories which are not marked as complete will pour back into the backlog. And so, if you have any ideas about what kind of work is going to be part of the next sprint, please try to clean up those stories and order them and size them in appropriate order in the backlog to speed up the planning on next Monday. Also, on next Monday, we will try to appropriately adjust the payload of the sprint to our capacity. So we'll try not to oversteer so much as we did before. And I think unless somebody has anything to add, we can probably call it done. No, no comments. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. We'll have a good weekend. We'll see you on Monday.